So yeah, that's today's theme, content paralysis and paralysis in general. We're all just not able to really move right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of Water Break or Hydration Station, or I think we need to just give up with the idea of trying to name this show because clearly there is no name to it. So first of all, I do realize I haven't been putting videos up quite as often recently on the channel, and there is plenty of reason for it, but first, let's drink some water, shall we? That's way too hot. Ouch. Definitely burnt my tongue now. Essentially, I thought I'd just update you on the channel and let you know why there haven't been quite as many videos recently. And there's absolutely not like I'm going away and I'm not making videos anymore. Absolutely plan on making plenty of videos. But earlier this year, I did have a lot of paperwork to go through, and I thought, okay, once my paperwork is done, I'm going to get back into making videos, I'm going to draw, I'm going to play games, I'm going to go finding new cool games to do, I'm going to get back into streaming, I'm going to do all these things. I had all these bright ideas. But then, as you can see, we had this little virus situation that has been kind of unrelentless in a way. But if there is this virus situation, then now there's all the more reason to be making more videos than usual now, right? Because if everyone's quarantined at home, we should have as much content as possible so that everyone can just chill out, stay home, and just watch stuff. Well, that's when I realized that my setup was just not set up for making videos. As you can see behind me, I have this little wall here, and this wall literally was a great big green curtain, and I was using this green curtain as my background for streaming. And so actually streaming was very easy to do, but every time I wanted to make a video, I would have to take this camera that you're looking through right now, and I would have to move it over here so that the camera wasn't facing the green background, because it's just hideously ugly. It's like the one color you don't want on screen, which is why we use green screen, because green is the only color that no one is using anyway. So you use the green screen, it disappears, right? So it was a bit of an operation, and I did take some pictures, so I do plan on making a little video showing you what my new current setup is. But I've got like my gaming monitor here, I've got my streaming monitor here, I've got all my computer stuff over here, I've got my hardware here. Basically, I'm looking forward to showing it to you in the future. But it's not quite ready yet, and so I'm in the process of kind of doing streams, but they don't look quite right because I don't have the green screen set up anymore. But at the same time, it's now easier to make videos because I've got myself set up like this, where I've actually got a non-green screen background, and I can actually just do more casual stuff like this water break series again. So that's the basic situation as to why I haven't been making videos quite as much recently. It's like trying to deal with the fact that streaming is easier with a green screen, but making videos is better without a green screen. And so I was kind of bouncing back and forth between that. And I didn't have the motivation to like take the camera down, set it up over there. If you're into making videos and making streams as well, then I highly recommend you create a setup that's easy to do both without making too many changes, because in addition to the fact that you want to run your daily life, you know, you've got a day job on top of which you're doing like a channel, on top of which you're doing streaming, and on top of which you're trying to live your free time as well. Try and build yourself a setup that does all of these things without too many changes. But in addition to that, there is the fact that there's this virus situation, right? And you're like constantly thinking, okay, I'd like to make this video and I'd like to make that video and I'd like to do this. But essentially, you keep looking at the news and it's just so depressing. It's not so much that it's depressing. It's just kind of, it's got to the point where it is actually quite disappointing. You're like, oh my goodness, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why are these people not acting? And why is all this inaction, all this complacency? And I start to just get really wound up about it. And instead of making content, I do what probably most of us do, especially people who like to make videos. You got all these ideas for things that you'd like to make, all these things you'd like to say, and all these things you'd like to do. And you end up not doing them, not turning them into videos, and you end up on Twitter. Right, you end up on Twitter voicing all that pent-up frustration into some 160 or 260 character message, which doesn't explain anything about what you were actually trying to say, because a tweet is just way too short to actually have any of the nuance of what you were trying to say. But this isn't a video about disliking Twitter. I'm just saying that this is where I ended up doing. I'd be having all these thoughts about the virus, or all these thoughts about streaming, or all these thoughts about gaming, and all these things I wanted to say. And instead of putting my thoughts together like this in a water break video, I would just tweet them out and I would feel like I had dealt with them somehow. And with regards to the virus, there was only actually really one tweet that I put out, and I realized I don't want to do this. I don't want to be tweeting out anger about my frustration with the fact that this virus situation is being handled terribly by so many people. I'm not saying the situation is easy. I'm not saying that I could do a better job. But from what I've seen, I just get really frustrated trying to deal with the fact that things that could be done are not getting done. So after I put that tweet out and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be tweeting stuff like this out. It's just making me feel even worse afterwards. I'm just like, I'm just adding to all the upset feeling on Twitter that's going on around this virus. So instead, what I decided to do is, even though it takes up a little more time in my evenings, I usually try to keep my evenings like completely free. But recently I've been doing a second stream for about 30 minutes only. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a financial analyst or an economist. I know nothing about these things. But I do see that one of the things that's important in this virus situation is that we don't spread the virus. And one of the main strategies for this has been staying at home, quarantine, self-isolation, social distancing. These are all terms that you'll have heard a lot of recently. And I thought, how can I encourage people to do these things? Because it seems like a big part of the problem is that people keep going out and partying or trying to go on holidays or look at cherry blossoms and have picnics. It's just like, get over it. 2020 is not the year that you get to do that stuff anymore, okay? This is just not your year. You need to find some other time to do it. It's not right now. And so I've been running these streams, and they're literally only 30 minutes long, and they're not for me to vent my opinion or anything. This is not for me to try and solve anyone's problems. It's literally just a place to hang out and give people a chance to speak, because given self-isolation, this is not something that everyone is used to. Even though lots of us gamers, we know how to sit in front of a computer for hours on end, especially streamers. We know how to sit in front of a computer for hours on end and not get bored. That's fine, but not everyone is like that. And I think a lot of people are going to not realize until they feel the pent-up frustration and kind of explode, and it ends up on Twitter, right? That explosion comes from probably not having had a chance to speak all day. Doesn't have to be something bad, doesn't have to be something good, it doesn't have to be anything specific. I just wanted people to have a chance to speak and be heard and interact with other people, given that social distancing is clearly a really important factor in preventing spread of this disease, virus, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I don't know how long I'm actually going to run this particular series. Hopefully, I don't have to run it for very long. I'd rather this virus just goes away and we don't have to do this series for very long. But until the virus situation starts to calm down, I'm going to be doing it as frequently as I can. For the past few days, I've managed to do it every single day, but it's a bit of a weird time zone for most people. So I do my normal streams, which is kind of afternoon, evening for America, and then these specific stay-at-home club streams, which is what I'm calling them. They've been going at sort of like 7 a.m. Pacific time. So if you are interested in that stream, do pop along. It's not to watch me play any specific games. I'm not going to be especially entertaining. I'm literally just sitting there listening to you speak about your experiences with this virus situation, because it also gives me more first-hand information, because I'm kind of sick of only reading this information through social media or through news sites, and it's just, there's so much bias in all these different places. I really enjoy being able to hear it directly from people in the chat telling me their specific experiences in all their different countries. But there's actually one more reason why I haven't been making as many videos recently. And the truth is, I've actually been recording videos, but just not editing them, or editing them and realizing I don't want to put them out. And this is for a completely different video in the future, because I think there's plenty more to say about it. But the longer you make videos, and the deeper you get into certain communities, and the deeper you get into certain topics, the more you find it difficult to put videos out about them because of your level of information. So, for example, when I first was getting into PlayStation products, when I was first getting into Nintendo products, and then when I was getting into fighting game content, and then I was getting into drawing, starting all those things was actually very simple, because I was still new at all of it. And, you know, for like yo-yoing and skateboarding, all of these things that I'm not an expert at, it was fun to just try them and make videos about them. But then the more and more videos that you make about them, the more that you like develop around a bit of a viewership community around these topics. And then people start looking to you for information and advice. And especially with things like fighting games, I don't consider myself really an expert player in fighting games. I've played fighting games for a lot of my life. I don't particularly think I'm very strong at them, but the more that I make videos about them, the more that I learn about them, the more I stream about them, the more advice I get from the chat, and the more that I realize this rabbit hole goes so much deeper than I was expecting. And it gets to a point where I'll try to open my mouth and say something in a video like I'm recording right now, off stream, and I'll be like, wait, do I really want to make this video? I haven't had a chance to research this fully. And it's difficult because if everybody waited until they had a PhD in a topic, we'd have no videos about anything, right? But at the same time, you realize that as your channel grows, you have more and more responsibility to report responsibly, right? So I don't want to throw out information without thinking hard enough about them, or don't want to feel like I've put a video out there that I didn't think about hard enough. But I want to balance that with actually making stuff and not getting completely paralyzed by my overbearing feeling of a need to avoid misinformation. And the truth is, I just haven't reached that balance yet. I will sometimes make a video, and for example, recently I made a whole video about the PS4 conference, and I was reacting to it, and I was having opinions about it, but I just realized that this topic about the PS4 hardware, the PS5 hardware, which is this console which is supposed to be coming out at the end of 2020, I just realized that even though I was having opinions about the PS5, I wasn't sure how valid they were, and I was like, I really feel like I need to research this topic a little bit more. So in the end, I just edited the whole thing, and then I didn't put it out. And then another video, I made a whole coffee video talking about how I've discovered what it is I like about Star Wars, and I actually felt quite confident in the videos because I go back to certain episodes that a large number of people say that they didn't like, and I still enjoy watching them. Even though the movie isn't especially well made, it's like that wasn't even ever the point. That's one of the charms of something as nerdy and geeky as Star Wars, was that it's not there to be an incredible film-making masterpiece. It's just super nerdy, and it works quite well as a film, and we all just want to know what happens next. But that's not how everyone will feel, it's just personally how I felt. Anyway, I had this long video about it, and I talked a lot about it, and I just felt like, you know, this topic goes too deep, and requires too much research, and even though it is probably fine to put that video up, I ended up not being able to finish editing it and put it up because I was like, I'm paralyzed. So yeah, that's today's theme, content paralysis and paralysis in general. We're all just not able to really move right now. We're not able to leave our houses. Some of us are not able to go to work. Some of us are not able to stay in our houses. Some of us are dealing with problems financially. Plenty of people dealing with problems with our health, having trouble getting motivated to do stuff while we're in quarantine, having trouble coming up with ideas for videos, having trouble committing to the ideas that we already had for the videos because now we're dealing with paralysis as a result of feeling over responsible for the type of content that we're putting out there. I don't know, just paralysis in general. I'm just trying to come up with some good balance, and clearly haven't reached it yet. That's all for now. Just wanted to let you know I do intend on making plenty more videos, and I'm really excited that I finally changed my setup so that I don't always have to have a green screen behind me, because the green screen works really well in certain cases, but for these videos like this, it just feels so much more natural to just use my actual room space and avoid the fake background aspect. So I'm pretty much all set up. I've got lots of ideas for videos that I'd like to put out, and hopefully I'll be able to make more videos like this one more regularly. If you've got anything to add to how you feel in this current situation of paralysis, whether it's content paralysis or work paralysis or viral paralysis or whatever it is you're dealing with, let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to reading them. I'll see you all in the next NihongoGamer video and or stream. Join us on Discord. I'm going to put a link below, and if you're interested in those streams where we basically just chill out at home and encourage each other to stay home and avoid getting infected and avoid infecting other people, the link to the Twitch stream will also be below. See you next time.